So Ken, every week we talk about mortgages and rates and programs and down payments, very technical stuff. And the questions never stop coming. But today I want to do something a little different. I want to talk about the person behind it all, the man who decided that helping people buy homes wasn't just a career, it was a calling. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today and actually letting us in.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I am so happy to be able to go over my life so you know where and why, and why should you care.
That's
So
right.
it's very important to me today to explain to you why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely. So exactly. Let's go back to the beginning, Ken. Before Nexon Mortgage, before Carolina Coastal, before any of this, who was Kenold Claude?
Kenold Claude was a little boy that was born in a little village in Haiti. They call Pascal, in the south side of Haiti,
Nice.
where going to from school from a child about 10 miles
Yeah.
on a daily basis,
Yeah.
where you farm the land, you take care of the animals, you do what you need to do to take care of the family.
Yeah.
I grew up, I had the dream to become a doctor.
Wow.
Unfortunately, after graduating high school,
Yeah.
that didn't work out.
Okay.
And for many, many reasons that I will not go in details,
Yeah.
I had to migrate to the United States.
Wow.
And coming to the United States, I was intrigued.
Yeah.
I started working in a restaurant as a dishwasher. I started looking at things left and right. I'm like, okay, there should be a better life.
Yeah.
First thing I did, even before I even had my green card, I paid to go to school to become a computer technician, build computer, do networking and all these things. And I was curious because I knew that the life that my father was used to was not the life that I wanted for myself. I
Right.
wanted something bigger. I wanted something better.
Yeah.
And at that point, what I could, I started nursing school. It didn't work out.
Okay. Okay. That's
In the
okay.
male back in 2002, 2003, in the female dominant,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
not easy.
Okay.
So decided to change. In 2007, I graduated from, actually, I started college in 2005, go to DeVry,
Okay.
got my bachelor in business technical management,
Nice.
concentration accounting.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I moved to New York in 2009, actually.
Okay.
That's where I started living life and learning
Okay.
my life.
Yeah.
And I joined the military in New York. And one thing I didn't know, because it says New York, that doesn't mean you're close to Brooklyn.
Right.
You're close to Bronx. You're close to Long Island. I was in upstate New York.
Okay.
Basically 7 hours plus to go to New York.
Wow.
I was not in New York.
Wow.
I served there and I was deployed to Afghanistan for about a year, came back, and there I started doing my MBA.
Okay.
When, I did, like many soldiers, they would watch movies and do that. That's not what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I chose to start my MBA.
Okay.
And from there, I got back and then finished my MBA.
Okay.
When I get out of the military, I wanted to move.
Okay.
I didn't want to stay in the cold weather. Even job offers that I had, I chose not to.
Okay.
And I chose to move to South Carolina because it was the closest to Florida, because my oldest daughter lived there.
Okay.
And it was not that far. I didn't want to go to Georgia.
Yeah.
Like it was about 5.5 hours driving to Orlando. It was not bad.
Okay.
And I would go into detail later on why did I choose to do real estate.
Okay.
That was based on my experience.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for being so transparent. I feel like a lot of our viewers and people can relate, can resonate with your experience and may have very similar experiences themselves. So let's talk a little bit about, when did real estate become this great big vehicle for you to propel you forward into your career and your future?
Okay, in 2014, actually, when I chose to move to South Carolina,
Yeah.
I went online like everybody. Most of people, they click on a link and you see hello, somebody call you, and then 10, 15 people, here you are, you're talking to an agent.
Wow.
At that point, I don't want to name the name of the brokerage she was working for.
Understood.
Connect with her, very nice, and came down to see the home. And she basically took me somewhere I would never buy a home. So what I've done, I did my homework to see, because school was very important to me because of my children. And then I ended up buying my first home.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know was that the closing date that I was given was not a sure thing. So I had my family and another family that came helping me move.
Yeah.
We're in a hotel.
Yeah.
We thought, okay, 3-4 days, that's fine. After that, we moved to a house. We'll be good to go.
Okay.
11 days later, I was in a hotel room, 2 hotel rooms, paying for 2 hotel rooms and feeding about 7 people.
Wow.
3 meals a day.
Wow.
And what's so crazy, I've learned before that all that happened, the agent knew about it and she didn't tell me anything.
Oh, wow.
And the first time that I've met, even I was there for 11 days.
Yeah.
The first time I met her after the first day we met to sign the contract
Yeah.
was at the closing table.
Okay.
And at that point, I felt like, I've been an agent. I was an agent in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
And I was like, she didn't work for that.
Correct.
And it was the fact that we have a very big military or retiree community here. I was like, someone can do better than helping your client and make sure that, they don't have to go through what I had to
Same
go through.
experience.
And that was the reason why I became an agent.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. This is not just theory for you, it's personal. Can't nobody build something meaningful without going through something hard first. And I feel like you've got that. That really hits. I mean, that really resonates. What was your turning point? What's the moment that almost made you quit, or one that locked you in for good?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's not one in multiple moments. I remember when I started in 2015, that when everything really,
Yeah.
started pick up a little bit, not compared to the before the crash.
Yeah.
I met a young lady at a McDonald's right down off Main Street in Somerville.
Yeah.
Her credit score was not the best. I'm not gonna say the score,
Right.
but it was not desirable to sit there to purchase a home. Thank God I had the experience as having a major in accounting, work in the finance office in the military before I left.
Yes.
Instead of saying, okay, sorry, you can't buy,
Yes.
I sat down with her and established a budget and tell her what she needed to do. And then, a couple months later, she was able to purchase her own home. I remember that day when we closed, she cried on my shoulder. She was so happy. And I was so happy. I was like, you know what? This is something that
That's amazing.
I want to continue to do.
Yeah.
In 2016, I met a lady. Sorry, Ma, I'm going to talk about you. So I met her through a client of mine.
Okay.
Her husband was a bishop in New York. He died, and she wanted to come home.
Right.
And she started working with an agent. Was very frustrated. She do it. She's a woman of class, and he was taking her to just mobile home and up the house in St. George. She was frustrated. Then she called me, and I remember the first time, based on what they told me, I met her at a place, and she said, "Man, if somebody repeat that," she laughed. She was like, "Don't tell people my stuff." But she said, "Sir, if I would buy any of these houses, my husband would get out of his grave because that." I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And we had a conversation. And
Okay.
I said, "You know what?" She was living to New York. She go to New York in 2 days, and I said, "Before you go back to New York, I'm gonna find your home." Went back to my office and find a couple home, 3 homes actually. And I took her to the first one in Ken Bay.
Okay.
We opened the door. She got in and she said, "Okay, this is it."
Yeah.
Didn't have a chance to look at the bedroom, look at anything. She was
Wow.
like, "This is
She
the
just
room."
knew.
And we put a contract.
Okay.
She went back to New York.
Okay.
Little did I know, and living the military, I was struggling with PTSD, different things that,
Yeah.
kept me up at night.
Yeah.
And one night I received a long text from her when I was in a very difficult moment. And that woman since took me in like she's my own mother.
Wow.
I talk to
Wow.
her every day, and she has been on my side since then to real estate.
Wow.
Because of real estate, I have way more friends and family
Yeah.
because most of my buyers were women friend, and people we still talk, or sellers, my client, women friend, we still talk. Because I believe real estate is not just a transaction. The same way
Yes.
when you find a family doctor who don't want to go anywhere else,
Absolutely.
if you take good care of your client, they want to remain and stay with you.
Absolutely. That is so powerful. Your commitment isn't just about you, it's to the people that you meet. And you're more solution focused It's not just rules and regulations and procedures. You are focused on finding a solution that meets your client's needs. And not everybody desires or wants or has the motivation to do that.
Rules and regulations are made for people, for human. You have to have
Yeah.
client
Boundary.
first. You have
Yes.
to know how to care for them first. It doesn't matter if you knew all the rules and regulations in this book, but if you have no client, no
Yep.
clientele to service,
Yep.
it's become worthless.
Absolutely meaningless. I love that. So for someone listening right now, who's on the fence, thinking about maybe buying a home, thinking about their first move into real estate, and they're kind of trepidatious, what's the thing that they're maybe thinking about wrong or getting wrong?
Couple of things I would tell you. I'm very grateful because one part of the story that I left out was the fact that I met an older man in Orlando that gave me an advice that I keep till today.
Yeah.
He said, son, couple of things you need to remember.
Yeah.
If you have to drive, go to work, you have a car, make sure that car is always your car, not a lease car.
Wow.
And then he said,
Yeah.
the same way you don't want to rent a car to go
Yes.
for years to go to work.
Yes.
If you have to sleep in a place, make sure that place is yours.
Absolutely.
With that in mind, in 2003, I bought my first home in Orlando. 3212 Denford Drive. I can't forget the address. That's my first letter home. And 2006, before the bubble, we sold that home. We bought it for $123,000 and sold it for $256,000. You can to look at this tax record and research, you'll find it. And one thing that I've learned was that overnight, for about 3 years, we invested a little over $10,000, but we made over $100,000 profit that we have in our bank account.
Wow.
So I've learned that real estate is an investment.
Absolutely.
Yes, you have to live in a place. You're paying somebody to sleep.
Yeah.
So why don't you pay yourself to sleep in a place that you call your own?
That's it.
You can build equity in multiple ways. One, pay down the mortgage.
Yeah.
Two, value goes up.
Yep.
Three, you can, find ways to refinance and then pay less interest, which will help you to basically get more bang for your buck. We have different ways you can. That's why I believe that real estate, if you really in the business of building wealth,
Yes.
you don't have real estate, I think you are mistaken. You need to have real estate in your portfolio.
Absolutely. So one of the benefits of talking to someone like you with your level of experience, you understand this really well. And like you said, it's about the long game, so not to be short-sighted. So and it sounds like you're committed to helping people make money, save money. So, to me, that's one of the main motivating factors of wanting to get on the phone with you and talk to you. Even if you've got a question, just say, hey, again, I have XYZ scenario. Where do I go with this? If there's something I need to get out of to be able to, move forward with a new transaction, how do I do it? You can actually help people game plan, which is one thing that I love. So you're a loan officer and a real estate agent, right? Which is kind of rare. Most people pick just one. So why both?
For the past couple of years, I work with different lenders. I have one that, for a while has been my go-to guy.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've learned was that there's no certainly perfect scenario.
Yeah.
And the clientele that I was serving was not were not the people with the perfect credit.
Yeah.
And often we had loan that, we had to deny.
Okay.
And what I didn't like was the fact that I couldn't explain why. I don't know where.
Yeah.
So I've learned what can I do to make sure I know why so-and-so was denied. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to take the class and then find out.
Yeah.
And I took the class.
Yeah.
And then I've learned during the class,
Yeah.
a few things that I can do that my partner couldn't do. I did talk to a few of them. One of them even told me they have yet to find someone that is an agent and a loan officer to be successful at both.
Right.
And I said, the goal, of course, is to be successful.
Yeah.
But my main goal is to help people.
Right.
And I chose to become an officer for almost 3 years now, serving a few family
Okay.
to own their own home. And one of the things that I've learned, especially through GPA program, single mom that basically didn't have the money saved, family that didn't have the money saved. I was able to help them to get into their home when it comes to debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
What my other lenders couldn't do, I'm able to do it now because I work with over 280 lenders to
That is
pick from. I have a guy last year in July I closed on. He basically was in bankruptcy.
Wow.
Still 2 years after bankruptcy,
Yeah.
he purchased his home. We get down payment assistance to purchase a home
Yeah.
in bankruptcy,
Yeah.
which, most lender would be like, oh no, we don't. That's why I always tell people, oh my gosh, when you are a broker,
Yeah.
you have way more options than we are when we're working with a retail lender.
Yes, absolutely. So you've got some solutions. So even if someone's been told maybe no somewhere else, it's always great to have a second opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does it actually look like for a client working with you?
Well, first of all, I always tell people whenever I talk to someone, ask a few qualifying questions, because the main thing that I want is to know exactly what do you want, what are your goals, what are you
Right.
trying to do.
Right.
When we establish that,
Yeah.
we don't take loan application. We create financial profiles.
I love that.
There's a big difference between a loan application and a financial profile.
Yeah.
So we look at what they're doing
Mhm.
and then see what we can do to help them. And not too long ago, perfect example, I was on the phone with an underwriter
Yeah.
that basically understate the income for two clients that
Mhm.
basically are receiving Social Security.
Okay.
Using the guideline, defining a guideline,
Okay.
I told her, well, we need to gross that
Okay.
by 15%, and she was able to add them, and now they approve. It's just a matter of learning and see, okay, what's important for that customer.
Absolutely.
When they come to you, I don't have money. Okay, what do you have?
Exactly.
We have something, a good friend of mine taught me something we call CIA.
Okay.
Okay, credit, income, asset.
Yeah.
You need two out of those three
Yes.
to be able to purchase a home.
Okay.
Okay, so as we look at your CIA, we build your financial profile, and that help us to make sure that you get your keys to move into your home.
Yeah. Yes. Very nice. So a couple of things, Ken. You mentioned Charleston, the surrounding market. What do you see happening right now that people need to be paying attention to?
So a lot of people start moving outside of Charleston, outside of Somerville, because this is what happened. You can build home, but you cannot build land.
Yeah.
Whatever what you have, that's what you have. When
Yep.
you don't have enough, what do you have to do? You have to go out. With the increase of companies moving to South Carolina, Somerville, and people moving, last time I checked, it was about 40 plus people moving on a daily basis to South Carolina.
Yeah.
It seems like each time they visit, they want to stay.
I know they don't want to leave.
So we've been in the top, I think, top 10 of the most desirable place
Yes.
to visit in South Carolina, Charleston.
Yeah.
And they want to stay. They come back.
Yep.
So being able to look at places like St. Joy Cross, Utahville, and Walterboro, places where you can just 30, 45 minutes to go to work, whether you're working in Charleston, North Charleston, wherever. That's giving you way more options than if you just want to stay in Charleston or North Charleston.
Okay. To me, that's another huge plus. So you know the area, so you can offer additional solutions that most other people don't really think about. To me, that's huge. So I want to shift gears just for a quick second, because people who maybe watch this show, they see the professional, they don't always see the person behind, the desk, so to speak. Let me ask you some real questions. What does a day in Ken's life normally look like?
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Mondays start most of the time at around 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, that's early.
So, for those of you that probably didn't know, I had surgery on my shoulder last November, and that basically prevent me from going to the gym. But I start going back. If I can go to the gym, I take my 2 miles walk. At least I walk 2 miles before I come to the office.
Okay.
And I come to the office on sometimes 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
That's when I start working and basically check in with my agent, checking with people I work with, looking at files. Okay, what can we do, to get that file to the finish line? One thing about me, I've been doing this for over 3 years. So far, only completely denied 2 people that we went basically on the contract.
In 3 years.
Yes.
How many loan files would you say total? That's a lot.
A few.
That's a lot.
Very few. The problem with the situations, it's nothing that it's their own making. So we don't have control over. And we have people where their credit is less than perfect. You know exactly what they need to do to get to where they can purchase.
Yeah.
Because the goal is to help them.
Yeah.
So my goal every day is to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to help somebody.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that make me happier when I get to the closing table,
Yeah.
especially with those that believe they couldn't buy.
Wow.
I have a friend of mine that referred me a client, and we started working. And she was like, "Ken, I know I can't buy a home. I just want to see where I'm at." We closed last week, Friday. Yes, if you watch our video, we closed last Friday,
Nice.
and it was so crazy. She was so uncertain. She didn't even told her friend that referred her to me that she was
That it
bound.
might happen.
And she was like, I was not sure, and I didn't say anything until we closed last Friday.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it's not a perfect science, but one thing I would tell you is that having a degree helped me
Okay.
to think outside the box. Because
Okay.
what happened, critical thinking is very important.
Yes.
Life is not black and white.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have to think outside the box. What can that person do legally
Absolutely.
to make sure that they own their own home? So it's more about what can we do to make our clients' life easier,
Yes.
better,
Yes.
help them build wealth, than just being on TV or wherever every day say, hey, I did this, I did them. We start doing videos because we feel like we need to educate more people, but not to just tell people I close this number of loans and then like this number. So I've been doing real estate here for years, never even once.
Wow.
You can't say that you've seen me get nominated for anything with the association or anywhere, because it's not about me. It's always about my agents. It's always about people that I work with. It's not about me.
Yeah. And it seems like you can accomplish a whole lot more and make a greater impact when it's less about you.
Absolutely.
I feel that. So, what do you do when the stress hits? The deals maybe aren't closing like they should. The market's tough, and the clients might get a little frustrated.
Take your work.
Yeah.
Out my shoes in the office
Uh-huh.
and take your work.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because the moment of clarity will tell you what you need to do next.
Right. Right.
And yes, sometime I remember I was working with someone, I'm not gonna name anybody, and he told me that real estate is something that you do with your mind, not with your heart. And I said, I will do it with my heart and in my mind. If I can't do both,
Both.
I'm not doing it.
Love that. That's amazing. That is amazing. All right. So, what is the mission? Like 10 years from now, what does Ken Claude want to have built by then?
10 years from now, the goal is to place as many families, as many people that we can in their own home, help them build wealth. I don't know if you remember in the beginning, I told you about that one client that has had less than desirable credit.
Yeah. Yep.
That client bought a little house for about 146,000.
Okay.
That house worth right now 365 last time I
Good
checked.
day. Wow. Double.
That made me happy.
You cannot save
And
that amount of money.
she referred me, oh gosh, I
Yeah.
can't even count how many people she sent my way.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you that's the most important to me
Yeah.
is the fact that when I help somebody to own their home and see the growth over years,
Yes.
that's really that's meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Every now and then you find somebody that is not happy. You can't
Yeah.
please everybody.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are people, no matter what you do, they're not gonna be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't control that. But when you change a life, man, that stays with you
Absolutely.
for years
Absolutely.
down the road. So this is a vision worth following. And I want to ask you one more thing before we close out. If someone is watching right now, they've been sitting on the fence about purchasing a house and they don't know where to start. What do you say to them directly?
What I would say, the first thing you need to do, talk to a mortgage professional, know what you are approved for. Okay? Because what happened often, people stop looking for a home before they get pre-approved.
Approved. Yeah.
That's the one way to go about it.
Uh-huh.
It's like you decided to make an appointment for surgery before consultation to know what needs to be done or whether you even
Can
need
do
the
it.
surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talking to someone to build a financial profile to tell you, hey, you're here.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do to be there. Or you're okay to buy. It's like a client that we met, we talked last week.
Yeah.
A couple days later, she's on the contract and closing in couple weeks or so.
Absolutely.
She was like, I didn't know I could. This thing's doing so fast. I didn't know I could buy a home.
She was shocked.
Yes, you will not know until you talk to someone
Yes.
that knows what he or she is doing and build a financial profile for you and help you get to the finish line. So the first thing, set up an appointment. We're here to talk to you. You can You don't have to use us. That's one thing that I learned. I'm gonna educate you anyway. Wherever you go, you know what to say. You know what question to ask.
Mm-mm. It sounds like you know how to serve people well, and that will always take you a long way in any industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you put people first,
Mm.
you will always, like I think Zig Ziglar said that. He
Mm.
said when you give, you
Mm.
help enough people to get what they want,
Yeah.
you will eventually get what you want.
Absolutely.
So my goal is add more people in my pipeline
Yes.
to help get what they want,
Yes.
and eventually
It'll come back.
they will come back to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Add value everywhere you go.
Yes.
This is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so open. This has been great. I think the audience needed to hear this side of you. Not just the expert, but the why behind the expert. So thank you, Ken. Really appreciate it.
Yes. So, people don't understand. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. I am from a family of 10, not 11, 10. Geez, I've almost had another one. I have 6 sisters and 3 brothers. A big family, very close to them. The only thing I would say that I'm the crazy one because
Okay.
I don't,
Mhm.
I try everything.
Yeah, yeah.
When I say
Yeah.
try everything, I try everything.
Yeah.
So the main reason why I am the way I am is because whenever somebody tell me no for something, I'm gonna find out why.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when I'm working on your file. If the underwriter says no, I'm gonna find out why and what can we do to solve it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm committed to what I do. I love what I do. I sleep doing what I do. I wake up doing there's nothing that I would rather be doing right now.
Yeah.
What I'm doing, which is helping people to deal with. Thank you so much for taking time to watch us today. I hope you have time to call or text us to set up an appointment. We'll be here to help you to answer your questions, to help you build your profile to own your own home.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So, Ken, for anybody watching today or the future that would love to reach out to you, how do they do that?
We're not here to sell you. Even we in sell, we're here to help you. I'll be more than happy to schedule a 15 minutes call with you. Or you can stop by my office. I'm right there by Pigloot, 500 North Pine Street, or you can call me at 843-900-1254. Schedule an appointment. We'll be more than happy to go over the process with you and educate you to what to do to own your own home.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the question. I look forward to answer more questions over the next couple of weeks as well. Another thing we need to talk about. Stay tuned. Next week, we have something very, very important to share with you.